Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Naruto Shippuden episode review. This one is going to be for episode 471, The Two of Them Always. Straight away, link to watch the episode if you haven't seen it yet is in the description below. But this is the review, so let's get into it. General thoughts on the overall on the episode before specifics. Good episode. I don't think it was a great episode, just because I think it obviously ends at a point just prior to us getting like a really massive moment with the death of Obito. We've obviously now witnessed the blow that will kill him, but we didn't like fully see him die just yet. I thought the build to this as the sacrifice of Obito was really well done. It's just that I think it's hard to really rate an episode that is kind of half flashback as being like overly great. Not because of anything against flashback, I think they can work really well. It was just that the flashback sequence here was almost so long, it took away from it really having the most meaning it could have. And that like, cool, like you're really establishing this connection between Obito and Rin and how much she pushed him forward. But I think you could have done that with just a couple of those scenes rather than needing to do an almost full recap of his entire relationship with Rin. I think you could have really shortened down that flashback sequence, and it would have actually added to the episode, because fundamentally what these flashback scenes do in the middle of these action scenes is that they, yes, remind you of events that have happened, flashbacks that we know about what happened, but it's to get this idea of something that happened in the past and how that is changing or affecting something in the present. And the idea here was to build this idea that Rin is always kind of always watching over him. She was the kind of rock that kind of kept Obito going and kind of really brought that team together, Team Kakashi in the past together. And it's basically to build to the moment at the end of the episode where Kakashi and Obito are running to block the kind of ash bone jutsu that's going to kill Naruto and Sasuke. They're willing to sacrifice themselves. And what gives them the last burst of strength to get in the way is them both remembering Rin. It's as if the spirit of Rin is there dragging them kind of together to block. And that was good. Like overall, them using a flashback to do that was well done. It was just, I do think the flashback was kind of so overly long that it was just, okay, we start the episode, like 10 minutes of flashback. Oh, we're actually in the present day. Like it was just that I think they should have split it up a little bit more. We're obviously, I think, going to get a little bit more flashback in the next episode, just with the actual death of Obito. But yeah, I don't want to be too critical of this episode for having the flashback, in that I overall think it worked. Because of the way the anime airs and how kind of at times there's like filler and stuff like that. I think it is at times important to recap you on like these flashbacks that have happened, and that like I don't think it's been like overly recently that we got an Obito flashback, so getting a kind of more extended one here with some new scenes I think was actually quite well done, in that there was that really cool little taijutsu sequence in the sparring match between Obito and Kakashi, and then just like I always enjoy seeing flashbacks of that team together, and I think also recapping us on the key moment for Obito that really kind of turned him into a villain for most of the series. The death of Rin and the impact that had on him, why he was part of this Infinite Tsukiyomi plan in the first place was to, in the dream world, have her back and have her be alive again in his dream, basically. That was, I think, well done to just recap that like, in for the last couple of months we've kind of just seen him as a character who's kind of turned around and is kind of on the good side now. But for most of the series he was a villain. So I think it was important to get that kind of turning point for him again, what turned him into a villain. But let's deal with more of the present day stuff here. So we get, the reason the flashback actually happens is because they give Obito a chance to rest after all of the Kamui dimension switching, because he needs to get them back into the dimension that Kaguya and Naruto are fighting in. So that's why while he's resting he has a chance to think about all this stuff, and that he still needs to do something more. And that's why, you know, when they come back, that's why they kind of link together kind of Kakashi and Obito's kind of wills, basically. But yeah, we do get them back. So Sasuke is back with Naruto in the battlefield. This shocks Kaguya, of course, because the whole point of their battle was to kind of separate the two of them so she couldn't be sealed away. And now it's serious that they're back in play. The other scene that we get before the kind of action scene at the end is Kakashi. We also see kind of feeling that he's no use in the battle at all. You see Naruto do all this fighting, distracting Kaguya, and he's just kind of standing there unable to do anything. He's clearly not powerful enough to have any sort of noticeable effect on the battle, but he feels like he has to do something because he's their teacher. He should be someone who's there, but he even reflects on it. In the past, like, I was elite, like I was as we saw in the flashback, he was the first one of the first ones to become a Chunin at like a really young age. He became a Jonin at such a young age, but we're seeing here, when it comes down to it, the big moment, he's not powerful enough, and it's a pretty big thing for the character to just kind of feel so, I suppose, useless, having been one of the most powerful characters kind of consistently across the series. So it is definitely a big moment, and so everyone comes back, and after some tricks from Naruto, which I really liked the setup from the last episode, the idea that Zetsu and Kaguya had figured out that the truth-seeking orbs couldn't be cloned, so they'd always be next to the real Naruto. But when they kill the Naruto with the truth-seeking orbs, the clones remain, and they realize that they were tricked, and that Naruto actually knew that this would be an obvious thing to figure him out, and had switched what clone had the truth-seeking orbs, and kind of further distracted her that way. And it just highlights that Naruto is actually like the perfect character to distract Kaguya, because all of his techniques, the amount of stamina he has, is perfect for drawing out a fight like that. And with Kaguya even having to be careful of her own chakra reserves, it's kind of like the perfect distraction, really. And so they basically decide that, okay, Sasuke's back, Naruto's here, we have to use our chakra heavily, and so they switch the dimension again, and we get this high gravity dimension where the idea being that Kaguya has basically the most powerful ranged jutsu on the battlefield, and that she's aware of what she's doing here. She's going to be affected by the gravity too, but she's strong enough to be able to just hold her hands up and fire this at Naruto and Sasuke, who will be taken aback by the amount of high gravity that there is. So they're all transported there, and this is the big sequence of the episode. I thought it was so well done, actually, this sequence, because they really made it feel like a big moment, that like just this set piece moment of there's not too big of a distance between Naruto and Sasuke and Kaguya. You have on the outskirts of the battle, you have Sakura, Obito and Kakashi, and she's just basically like, no, you're dead now. We've already seen how powerful the kind of dead bone ash technique is, and this is going to end the fight now. They're stuck in place. They managed to dodge the first two, mainly because Kaguya herself didn't kind of account for the fact that the gravity would also affect the shot of shooting this thing at them. But she adjusts and is basically like, no, this is it. 100% are going to get them this time. And it's a really big moment as you see Obito and Kakashi both rush to get in the line of these shots to protect both Naruto and Sasuke. And I love the animation on it, as you can see how hard it is for them to move in this kind of high gravity, how eager and kind of passionate they are to do this, and it leads to that big moment that's kind of the core of this episode. Rin kind of connects their spirits, that it's as if she is there to pull them the final distance, to kind of get in the way, and the two of them are there once again. They're doing the same thing, but Obito decides that it's not Kakashi's time to die just yet. It's his. And so he uses his last amount of strength, kamwis away the attack against Kakashi, gets hit with the one himself, and basically we just get the little reaction of just Kakashi shocked that he thought he was going to die here, but Obito has saved him again. Like, we already had the moment in the past of the whole dodging the boulder, Obito getting crushed, and we have another situation just like that here, where Obito has saved Kakashi again, and Kakashi's going to live, Obito's going to die, and it's a tragic end to the episode, in that like you kind of know it's going to be really, really emotional at the start of the next episode. But again, such a well done scene overall. I think just very clever how they set it up. The kamui technique is so versatile with how they can use it for dramatic effect. and just especially Kaguya's technique being a kind of instant kill technique, it was a really good way to kind of get around that. And it still kind of highlights that, you know, Kakashi's here, but what's he going to do next? Like, why is he, you know, what's he going to do now that he's kind of there on the battlefield in the middle of things, and Obito's now gone? You know, because basically that was the whole thing of, like, Naruto and Sasuke can fight Kaguya reasonably well. Obito's technique was so powerful that he could do something in the battle to kind of at least confuse things, but, you know, Sakura and Kakashi, like, what's left for them to do? And that's the interesting thing from here. You know, Obito's going to die, but after that, what? Like, they're still in the gravity world. Like, Kaguya, we assume, can just fire another shot and get them again, but we'll have to see what happens, of course, and the death of Obito, and how they really approach doing, you know, it in the anime, and how they, you know, get the emotion across. But yeah, so I think final thoughts on this episode are that it was, as I said, good, but not quite on the verge of being a great episode. It's obviously really fun to be back in canon, and, you know, the episode feels big and emotional, and it feels like we're at the end for sure. It's just that, yeah, the flashback sequence was a little bit too long. I get what they were going for, and the need to touch on a lot of these moments with Obito, given that basically next episode is his last episode. It's just that having just a 10-minute chunk of pure flashback, like with no kind of present day breaks in between, was a little much for me. I usually don't mind them referring to these flashbacks, but I think they need to be more focused to get the core of the point across. The core of this obviously being that Rin drives Obito forward, and the importance of Rin to the team, and that worked quite well. It's just it was a little long, so it meant that, like, the actual present day canon, you know, continuing the story part of the episode was basically just the smallest of engagements of just like Naruto's trick with the Truth Seeker orbs, and then transitioning immediately into the set piece moment of the ash bones in the high gravity area. So it wasn't like there wasn't like a huge amount of scenes to really talk about here. It was just most of it's flashback, this, and then this. There's only like three or four real scenes in the episode, so that's, I think, the only thing holding it back. But some big stuff is coming up. I'm really excited for next week's episode to see if they really get to that big moment that I'm waiting for, and see how they do it and how it comes across in the anime. Actually, speaking of that, there was that scene at the start of the episode where we got the Sage of Six Paths talking to the revived Hokages again, and they're kind of setting up something there. That was a nice little just setup at the start that there's still something more for them to do, so that's good. But yeah, that's basically been the review. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, your thoughts on what I've said in this review, and then I'll just finish by saying, if you want to follow me on social media, a link to my Twitter and also my Tumblr are in the description below. If you want to support my channel so I can make better videos and more videos, link to my Patreon page as well as a PayPal donation link for one-off donations are also in the description below. But for now, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.